We're ready to go as they pack up here on the streets of Long Beach for the Acura Grand Prix. Green flag flies. Let's go for the final time this year.
Pretty good lineup so far. Grosjean now looking down the inside. Felix Rosenqvist tucked right up behind Castro Neves. T-Bell, and it looks like it's going to be pretty clean in the first corner.
The Firestone Fast Six was all by themselves on the front straightaway. They slot in single file. Look at Castro Neves. Locks up there. Pagano in that bright yellow car looking to attack.
Pato came sailing down the inside of James Hinchcliffe to grab a position. He's the only guy that moved up a spot on the initial start.
He knows the urgency. Pato O'Ward, he has to make up positions and he's got to do it fast.
Oh, he's looking at Grosjean as well. Takes a peek there on the red tires. Will he take a dive down the inside here?
Rosenqvist does on Pagano. Turn 8, great move.
Pagano on the harder black tire. Rosenqvist on the softer red.
Nice job.
More grip on the start. Here comes Grosjean up the inside of his fellow Frenchman.
And that's a nice move at turn 9. Now O'Ward's lining up. Look at the orange and black arrow McLaren SP Chevy. Tough to do it there. As they go to the hairpin, he has to tuck back in behind the Menard Chevy.
Oh, look at that. Ed Jones sailing, makes contact with Pato. This is big for the championship.
Ed Jones turns O'Ward around.
Here's how that, Ed Jones.
That was a big lunge by Ed Jones. Really tough to do when the cars are all packed up on each other. He's definitely going to get a penalty for that, but now Pato O'Ward's championship, he's really got to change it up with the strategy.
Pato O'Ward
we'll work some magic here in strategy.
Goes to dead last. I was going to say without a yellow, but I think we're going to get a yellow. Huge break for O'Ward. On board with O'Ward. Listen.
Nick is active on the front.
Got hit.
Now the green flies. Here we go.
Tell you what, Scott Dixon's got a good shot here in the draft. That was a pretty slow restart by Newgarden. Here he comes, taking a look down the inside.
Too far back. Helio Castro Neves defends from Felix Rosenqvist. And then Romain Grosjean in that purple Nurtec Honda for Dale Coyne with Rick Ware Racing. The Frenchman, he wants his first IndyCar victory here today.
Those top 5 drivers all on the softer red tires, so apples to apples comparison here on performance. Simon Pagano in that bright yellow car, the first car on the harder black tire, should have good tire temp versus the start now, but they're single file coming to turn 6.
Race control has made the decision. Ed Jones gets a drive-through penalty, avoidable contact. That was, I guess you could say, was obvious.
Check this out. You've got Alex Palou now. O'Ward is already at the back. Palou got a break there, some breathing room, but now he's got Colton Herta, potentially the fastest car on the track and the most frustrated driver on the track, right behind him. Frustrated, Paul, because he did not match his qualifying performance like we expected. He crashed in qualifying.
Ed Jones right there behind these two guys, so he's going to have to peel off. But right now, here comes Colton Herta. He's right there in the draft. Will he be on the push to pass?
That was
trying
Jones.
to make a move, and here we go. Here it comes.
Jones was serving his penalty. Herta on the championship leader side by side. No contest. That gives him the inside for turn 1. Rosenqvist almost comes together with Castro Neves.
Castro Neves elbows out, muscling Rosenqvist over a little bit there in the brake zone.
Castro Neves is one of the toughest guys to pass in the sport. I know firsthand.
I can second that. So Herta gets by without much challenge from Palou. Marty, you got to think Palou's just kind of covering here, plain and safe.
Exactly. So if you're Alex Palou, you're behind the wheel, Townsend, and if you're Barry Wander, the strategist, your game has completely changed now with O'Ward back in 24th. You know, O'Ward could have dictated really what the strategy would be for the day. Now Palou can play his race what he needs to do. Remember, 12th or better, they win the championship. So he knew Colton Herta, as fast as he was not going to put up a fight for that spot. He's sitting in 9th, right where they need to be. But I think with the 5 all the way back, Townsend, the game has changed for the 10.
Certainly has, but strategy can change everything up. Townsend, you know how it is in sports. You try to play a defensive game or watch the clock game, and things can get away from you. This guy has gotten to where he's at because he's played on offense the whole time.
Watch this curveball. Ryan Hunter-Reay coming out of the pits.
And trying to
left
stay
down on cold
way.
tires, but it's hard. There's nowhere to hide here as you come to the fountain. There's Palou. It's going to hold up Palou.
Gingerly around the fountain, then up the inside. Clears Ryan Hunter-Reay. At this stage of the game, guys, the two of Joseph Newgarden has leapfrogged Pato O'Ward. Here's a move, Rosenqvist. That was close.
They almost
really
touched,
close.
but look at Grosjean now, squares it up. He's going to try an outside move.
Tough to make that work, but he's going to probably cross over. He does. Grosjean looking up the inside of Rosenqvist.
He's going to fire it down in there, send it in, and big lockup, hits the wall, Rosenqvist.
Big save, big front lockup. I thought he'd have to go into the overshoot, but he manages to complete the corner, but loses a position.
And trouble here for Pato O'Ward, championship contender. Kevin, it's over.
Gearbox issues, slowing to a stop. One from the championship eliminated, it appears.
I can see that the half shaft, Kevin, is broken right here where he got hit. Look at that. Where he got hit right there, that drive shaft, Townsend, is broken. So that's the corner that he got hit on, and that has eliminated them from the race.
Look at that. Zach Brown, CEO of McLaren Racing on the left. Taylor Kyle, the president of the team.
Looks like a broken drive shaft, mate. Looks like you've lost power.
It's over. The dream is over. And ready to go racing. It's the reigning Indy 500, the four-time Indy 500 champ, leading the way. Helio Castro Neves, who was just so upset earlier today in warm-up after a collision with Alexander Rossi. Back to racing. He's chased by the sole remaining Arrow McLaren SP Chevy of Felix Rosenqvist. Then that's Takuma Sato, Scott McLaughlin, Ryan Hunter-Ray, and Will Power.
Little surprise, Paul. None of these guys electing to pit under caution. They stay out. They're only going to make it about another 10 laps or so before they'll have to pit under green.
I believe that was Joseph Newgarden in the background, was the first car that had pitted, all locked up getting into turn one.
There is the Hitachi Chevy. Joseph is running in 12th position at the moment. So all these cars that you see here, Hunter Ray's not on the lead lap, but all these cars that you see here have not yet pitted. There is the first car to pit, the two Hitachi Chevy.
And they had to pit earlier than they wanted to, forced by that yellow, Marty, and I would think that these guys are going to have to save some pretty serious fuel on this stint to make it on one more stop. So some guys that'll have to pit. It's full send up front for Castroneves and Rosenqvist. They'll look to put about 30 seconds on Newgarden before they pit.
But look at this, though. Palou is buried back here in the back of the pack with a bunch of guys that he doesn't need to get racy with. He's still got to finish this race. If Newgarden can cycle his way back to the front again, Palou's got to make sure he doesn't get in trouble and get taken out or get hit by somebody like Pato O'Ward did and then have an issue with the car.
Let's just listen to see if he's saving fuel. Not too much there. So they must feel like they're pretty good.
Inside.
Marty, what's going on down there? Oh, someone's in the wall.
That's Ericsson, Marcus Ericsson.
And on board with Rossi.
Yeah, they just ran in there really hard. Marcus didn't really lock it up, but just couldn't make the corner.
Let's go back racing with Helio Castro Neves at the head of the field, playing with a really risky strategy.
Yeah, still can't quite figure it out, but nonetheless, Castroneves leads at Long Beach on the restart. He's going to have to pit in probably 4 or 5 laps. You lose about 40 seconds, and look at this, Dixon and Colton Herta side by side with contact there into turn one. Dixon with the advantage.
That's really the fight for second, Paul.
Yeah, the guy on the move right now is Colton Herta. He was the first to hit the pit lane on that yellow, and he has had the fastest car all race long and all weekend, so he's looking at trying to overtake Dixon right here, and he's got to run right now.
This is the run up to turn 6. It's a dicey move, but he's coming from a long way back. Colton Herta. Herta on the 6-time champ, just like that.
That was impressive, and Dixon always so smart about leaving room when he knows it's going to be a no-win situation if he tries to defend. Dixon is on the black tires right now, so he's at little disadvantage on this restart.
Message to Joseph Newgarden, you're about to have company. The Gamebridge Honda is coming.
For the cars that have to make one more stop, Colton Herta is the leader on that strategy. Up ahead, you still have Castroneves and Rahal, but they still have yet to make effectively their first stop. Rahal stopped on lap 3, but he'll have to make 2 more. Here's Colton Herta on the back straight.
Perfect pass, set it up perfectly, used the push to pass. Townsend, he's used a lot of it, but he has come from 14th to be the effective leader of the Long Beach Grand Prix, his hometown race.
Newgarden's got to try to hang on, though, with the points as they run right now. Newgarden really needs to win this race and hope for some sort of Palou disaster. Another angle here of Colton. Brake rotors glowing red, and boy, Newgarden didn't leave much room on his turn in there.
That was tight. That was really tight. The boys were talking about push to pass, folks. 200 seconds are allocated for this Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. You can deploy it in up to 20-second bursts. It gives you an extra 50-odd horsepower.
18 to 28 laps left. 18 to 28 laps on this set of tires. 18 to 22 laps on this set.
Now's the time, Townsend. He's got to save those tires a little bit. Chilton dives down the inside of Ilott, and they go around the hairpin 2 abreast. Chilton has a tough time getting going, but he needs to save those tires a little bit because Ray Hall and Castroneves are going to have to pit, and he is leaving Joseph Newgarden.
Look at this.
Right now.
Look at the 48 of Jimmy Johnson battling fellow rookie Scott McLaughlin there into turn 1. It's been really neat the final few races of this 21 season to see Jimmy Johnson racing for position aggressively. This is Callum Ilott finding reverse off in turn 1.
I think he stalled it. He just
Yellow
stalled
be
it.
out here. Again, this puts Castroneves, if a yellow comes, they should duck to pit lane right now.
Oh, look how tight the Rookie of the Year championship points are, bottom left of your screen. So McLaughlin came in with a 20-point advantage over Romain Grosjean. So it's tightened up a little. And this race far from over. We're not even halfway yet. And do we see a yellow, or has the AMR safety team been able to help Ilott get going? Race control says local yellow only, and finally Helio Castroneves comes in, Kev.
Alex Palou, the would-be champion on pit road. They're going to go with sticker red alternate tires for Alex Palou here in a stop for them. Also Alexander Rossi, who's been complaining about the rear ride height of the car. Tight on pit road, 3 wide there with Palou on pit road. Rossi's been complaining about the rear ride height of his car, saying it's going into the ground too much and it's bottoming out pretty much every corner. But that was tight for Palou on pit road.
Tell you what, you got to be careful that you don't get an unsafe release penalty because he came out right into the path of James
Here
Hinchcliffe.
comes Pagano. Pagano's already pitted. He's on hot tires. He's jammed up there in the fountain, but he's going to have a run on Hinchcliffe. This is for position.
Yeah, he's got the hot tires, so he lined that up perfectly. Now the next guy is Palou, but he's got Jimmy Johnson in front of him, and here comes his Rossi, Hinchcliffe's teammate on hot tires as well. He'll get a good shot at Hinch.
Palou's been able to escape. Watch that yellow Menard Chevy of Team Penske's Simon Pagano. Down the hill through the kink at 7 to turn 8. Jimmy gives him room. Nicely done. Now it's target Palou for Pagano. Kev?
Grosjean comes in for his final stop, so he's got to have an extra lap or 2 of fuel in case the others, I think they have to save just a little bit to get home, so Grosjean a little bit better on fuel. Only thing he hasn't done this year is win. Marty.
Yeah, same for Scott Dixon, coming down a lap later than everybody else. You got to wonder if this will play into their hands a little bit. Dixon just now coming down to get 4 fresh Firestone tires for him as well. He has been in the top 3 the entire day. There's Dixon leaving pit road right now. We'll see where he cycles out. Pretty much where he was before, right behind Joseph Newgarden.
Just missed beating Joseph Newgarden, but Dixon on the red tires. So we'll have to see how they work up to speed. Newgarden also on reds, but this battle, Power, remember, ducked to pit lane pretty early. He came out with a big advantage there.
And Rossi gets by his teammate Pagano, has contact with Romain Grosjean on his outlap, but right now, this Hinchcliffe under attack now from Sebastian Bourdais. Will Power, I don't know what's going on with Hinch.
Hinch
He's
is
just
dropping back.
like
Power's
stone.
going to send it up the inside. Watch this.
Turn 8 inside. They've removed that curbing there, so it widens the track. Job done. Hinch is trying to respond. Power puts his car in the middle of the road, making it very wide, that Verizon Chevy. Hinchcliffe's not done with yet, or is he? Turn 9, couldn't get it done.
Power way deep on the brakes, gets sideways, and then big oversteer on the Power, exiting. Nice and easy on board with Alex Palou, not charging the corners at all. Let's hear how the radio communication has continued today.
Take care of these tires. Be smart. Think of the big picture.
Just put that on repeat, Paul, the next 24 laps. Marty, nothing has phased this second-year driver today, just absolutely picture-perfect execution.
Just so calm right now, really fourth on his strategy, 6 overall on the racetrack. So why is he so calm? I asked him that earlier this week, and he said, you know, I ran for a championship in Japan one year, and going into that final race, what I needed to do to win the title was I needed to win the pole, I needed to have the fastest lap in the race, and I needed to win the race. Well, guess what happened that weekend? He won the pole, he got in the fastest lap, and he was leading that race with 10 laps to go, and lost an engine and did not win the title that day. He said, that day taught me a lot. It taught me that, you know what, in racing, things are not going to go your way, so don't worry about it. Do the best you can. And he said, I walked away from that day knowing I did the best I could, and that's all I give every day, the best I can. So he's not counting this championship done yet, even though it looks like it is with 25 to go. Alex Palou's learned in the past, you can't count it until you're holding that trophy lead.
And not only did he not win, he didn't get second either. He dropped to third in that Japanese Super Formula Championship. So right before he got in the car today, he gave Ricky Davis a big hug. Ricky Davis has been a staff member at Chip Ganassi Racing for 26 years. Ricky is the crew chief on the 10. And I was walking past the other day and had a chat with Ricky. I said, hey, by the way, you've jumped around to different teams. There's Connor Daly in the US Air Force Chevy. He's run long and come to a stop.
Let's find out what happened with Askew, though.
Little argy-bargy going on here.
That's Connor Daly. Daly has to take the overshoot, and Askew has to take the tires.
Are we going to see a big turn 1 experience here? Colton Herta is trying to escape already before the hairpin. He's trying to get the jump on Newgarden. Newgarden's got to go with him to get the draft. Get a good launch out of the hairpin. Herta's gone.
Well, he didn't get a good launch for Newgarden because Dixon is right there in the draft. And Dixon was really putting the pressure on Newgarden. But right now, it's all Colton Herta. But those black tires, T-Bell, they're not as fast as the Reds.
Brilliant stuff, though, through the hairpin for Colton Herta to put that much of a gap on a 2-time IndyCar champion and a 6-time IndyCar champion. Colton Herta says, Southern California is my home. I've owned Laguna Seca. Now I want to own Long Beach.
Alex Palou has been able to keep Simon Pagenaud behind him. Hey, you've got a Team Penske driver trying to win this championship and a Team Penske driver hassling the points leader. How is this going to play out?
Team Penske driver that's also leaving Team Penske and had some issues with the guy who's trying to win the championship. Remember they crashed into each other at St. Louis.
Come down to turn 9. I'm watching that 10 car of Alex Palou. Steady, 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 hitting his marks, not sliding the car one bit. Just connecting the dots corner to corner. Pagenaud is really close now.
Trying to fill you in on all of the end of season stories. Look for the pink, white and black machine. There it is there. That's the Meyer Shank Racing, the Auto Nation Sirius XM Honda of Jack Harvey. Great strategy from them. Here comes Jack. He's hassling Alexander Rossi. Now, legitimately is sitting in 7th position. This is his final drive with Meyer Shank Racing, the team that gave him his IndyCar start after racing in Indy Lights. He's worked up from just 1 event to 2 to 7 to a full-time series championship for the last couple of years. He's been Meyer Shank's guy. It's come to an end. He's moving on. He's staying in IndyCar. Wait for that announcement soon. But Harvey could finish on the podium and on a high.
Joseph Newgarden now starting to stretch away from Scott Dixon, now trying to close that gap to Herta.
Sebastian Bourdais runs 8th behind Harvey. Takuma Sato and then Ed Jones after serving that penalty earlier in the race for hitting Pato O'Ward, which ultimately ended his championship chances with a damaged car, is back up into the top 10. Kev?
The championship is starting to go a little bit tough for Joseph Newgarden there, running in 2nd and listening to the radio with Penske President Tim Cindric a few moments ago. They've got some other things in mind as well.
Saving fuel. You know, it looks like we need to finish 14th right now. 14th for 2nd place. Keep an eye on that.
So how much do you attack? Yes, they could still win the race and win the championship if Palou has a problem mechanically otherwise and finishes in the back, but they at least want to make sure that they get the 2nd in the championship.
just looking out the windows, guys. The sun is starting to pop. You can see it on the camera here. That reflection coming off the white number 2 of Joseph Newgarden. As that happens, I think that probably helps Colton a little bit on tire temperature and makes these red tires wear off a little bit better. So for Joseph Newgarden, he's got to try to make something happen early in this stint right now.
Of those 3 victories he's had this year, it wasn't the maiden victory at Barber Motorsports Park that was the most impressive or special. It was Portland, Oregon, just 2 weeks ago, when at turn 1, he had an altercation with his teammate Scott Dixon. They were sent to the back of the field, and the words from his strategist and competition manager Barry Wanzer were like, keep it calm, we can still do this. And his response on the radio was, yes boys, let's get after this, we can do it. And he went on to victory, and that's what put him back. It was a massive point swing. Pato O'Ward didn't have a great day. It was a 30-plus point swing, and that's what put him in this strong position to come here to the streets of Long Beach.
You know, T-Bow, the thing that strikes me, I did not see this coming at the start of the year. When they signed him, I was like, oh, that's an interesting sign. I didn't think that these guys would go for that, but I mean, his one-lap speed in qualifying has been nothing short of impressive. And then just the steady at the wheel, just no mistakes, no speeding penalties, doesn't have contact with other drivers. I'm amazed he doesn't have more championships in his resume.
Well, it got my attention a few years ago when Team Go in Japan and Roger Yasukawa, the key advisor there for that team, they searched the world saying, who are we going to promote? Who do we want to bring over to IndyCar? And whether they selected a guy out of Spain, so you got a Japanese group selecting a driver out of Spain to bring him to the U.S. and try to make his mark. That certainly got my attention. And I think more than anything, for Alex Palou, it's how he's measured off Scott Dixon in every single category, and specifically what we're talking about here, the ability to think big picture in the heat of the moment. And what should be the most emotional moment for a driver in the cockpit under pressure, Palou has that Scott Dixon quality to think beyond the moment and think about championship points.
Well, you talk about mirroring yourself off Scott Dixon, and that is true to a point. Guess who else he has been learning and soaking up stuff like a sponge? Jimmy Johnson. He has been using Jimmy as a mentor and as a consultant, if you wish, for how to put a championship run together. What happens when you get some adversity when you're leading the championship? How do you conduct yourself? Do you know the other day at the media scrum, there were dozens of people in there interviewing the drivers. There was a special interview being done with Jimmy. Palou stood there, not being interviewed. Palou stood there watching Jimmy on how he answers the questions, the particular type of questions. And the Ganassi staff came over to me and said, this isn't the first time. Alex is like a sponge. He watches what Dixon does, watches what Johnson does, and he's learning from the best. He's learning from one of the best in IndyCar and one of the best ever in NASCAR. Smart kid.
Smart kid on the verge of his first championship. And like he said in that interview, I believe there's going to be more championships for this kid if he continues to perform like he does. But this guy right here, Newgarden, is not giving up on the hope of another win at Long Beach and a championship as well. Now the pressure's on Colton Herta with 8 to go.
Been watching the last few laps.
So 35 is fine. Probably a little worse than that.
And Newgarden continues to close on Colton Herta. So we've talked a lot about championship today, but let's not forget, outside of the Indy 500, this is the single most important win on the schedule. And Pato O'Ward finally retired for the day. The gloves and helmet will come off, and I'm sure a big exhale of frustration.
And the realization it's not a second place in the championship now, it's a third. And maybe a possibility of sliding to fourth if things change here for Dixon in the next couple laps.
People won't forget what Pato O'Ward has done this year, though. Inside 7 laps to go in this 2021 NTT IndyCar Series season. And the race is on at the front. It's Honda versus Chevrolet. It is Andretti Autosport versus Team Penske. By the way, if you weren't with us last week, Honda captured its 4th consecutive Manufacturers' Championship. It's always a spirited fight with the 2 OEMs in Chevrolet and Honda. Honda on top for 2021.
Herta's just now been able to just stretch it back out a little bit. Newgarden closed that gap and was putting the pressure on, but Herta has now responded to that pressure just a little bit, just 1.1 seconds now.
Newgarden not giving up on his first chance to win at Long Beach.
Yeah, neither have won here on the streets of Long Beach in IndyCar competition. Scott Dixon, who runs third, has, so it's going to be a fresh winner. Look at how close Newgarden gets through the fountain complex.
Wheel spin struggles for power down on Colton Herta's car, Paul.
Yeah, those blacks are going away now, and those reds are still there. This is as close as he's been now, so the race is on with 4 to go.
So the championship is going Alex Palou's way. The Hitachi Chevrolet driver cannot win the championship at this point, but he can get a third win on the season and equal Alex Palou. Or likewise, so can Colton Herta. Who's going to get this final one in 2021?
Coming down the back straightaway, we'll lay out again in the hairpin and listen to the wheel spin of his cars coming off the corner.
Oh yeah, struggling to lay the power
Free to
down.
go. Newgarden's down to 57 overtake.
Trying to get all that 750 horsepower to the ground on the streets of Long Beach. Of the 200 seconds allocated to each driver in push to pass, Herta has 71 seconds left. Newgarden down to 45.
Newgarden was super deep on the brakes. Look at him just charging the corner now. That white number 2 nose is very much in the mirrors of Herta.
Yesterday, after winning the pole position, Joseph Newgarden leapt from his cockpit and was punching the air, was high-fiving his teammates. He was pumped like he just won the Super Bowl, and it was a pole position because it was just kind of, I'm sick of qualifying 17th and 18th, and we're not being there, being in the mix. He did everything he could possibly do this weekend to come from way back to win this championship.
A little bit less downforce on Herta's car. You can see Townsend on the back wing. There's no wicker on the back, and there's a pretty big wicker across the back wing of Newgarden's car, so the advantage right now is on the straightaway for Herta, but you see Newgarden closes really close in the corners, and then down the straightaway, Herta just seems to pull away.
It'll be 2 to go here at the
Fuel
line.
98 to finish. That's 2 to go. Good job.
Colton Herta, 71 seconds of push to pass. Newgarden, 45. They're both on the button all the way down shoreline here.
Yeah, Herta used a big chunk there. He's down to 57 now. Less than 4 miles to run for Colton Herta to round out this season with back-to-back wins.
Close there. So this is where he's got to make it happen, is in this tight section where he's got the downforce on the car.
I think his best chance is after this next left-hander, charging it up the inside, Marty.
Team was talking to Colton. He said, everybody just be quiet, please. He thinks he needs to finish this off by himself. No interruption.
And Palou, Alex Palou is not close enough to his teammate Scott Dixon to threaten for that podium, but that's fine. In a lap and a quarter, Alex Palou will be crowned the champion. We'll deal with that when it's on the final lap. Meanwhile, this scrap for the lead is intensifying. But Herta just seems to be able to hold Joseph to a level that's comfortable.
He's got to make it happen in the fountain section in turns 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right there. Look at this car just pull away down the straightaway.
1 to go.
Fuel's good.
But then in the brake zone, T-Bell, he's just going to close right up.
Yeah, if he can get close through the fountain and back on out of turn 6, then I think he'll have a shot. But Colton has just done a masterful job to hang on to the back end of his race car and just manage that wheel spin we heard earlier.
Worldwide this year, your comments, your enthusiasm, your passion about the NTT IndyCar season have been noticed. This series is alive and the competition is fantastic. And we have noticed, the series notices. We're glad that you love it. Wherever you're watching from around the world, these guys are incredible. No matter whether it's a street circuit, a road course, a super speedway, or a small oval, it's fantastic, and there's more to come in 2022 where you can fully expect the driver of the Gainbridge Honda, Colton Herta, to be vying for a championship. This will be his 6th career win, and he gets to do it in Southern California where he grew up. Out of the hairpin for the final time, Colton Herta will have the last say of 2021. Herta wins again for the first time at Long Beach. And Alex Palou is an NTT IndyCar champion.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Think of all the moments that you and your dad Ramon put in at the go-kart track, 7 years, just you and him there together. Did you ever dream this moment and that Astra Cup would be yours?
That's ours, right? Oh my God, man! What a race! What a year! What a season! And this team is amazing. I don't know what to say. It's just I'm super proud of being part of Chip Ganassi Racing. All our partners, Segi this year. That was the first time that we're in motorsports. American Legion, NTT, PNC Bank. So yeah, super happy. Can't thank enough everybody that made this possible. Chip Ganassi especially, but yeah, my family, everybody, management team, amazing.